Hello everyone, welcome back for episode 3 of the 12 months 12 cars challenge. In this video I'm hopefully going to repair the power steering fault on the £174 2007 Ford Focus. If you're new here, please click the subscribe button and ring the bell. If you're a returning subscriber, thank you for sticking with me for the journey. So without further ado, let's have a look at the parts that have arrived finally, and then we can get started. So here we are then. We have a steering angle sensor, a power steering pump, and just to be on the safe side, a couple of litres of power steering fluid. I'm sure it won't take that much, but always better to have too much than not enough. As I said in the last video, I'm going to change the sensor first because it's the easiest to get to, it's the cleanest job to do. No messing about with the fluid, I don't have to open the system up, nothing like that. And I am praying that the sensor is going to fix the problem. If the sensor doesn't fix the problem, it will more than likely be the pump or the control circuit that's embedded in the pump, but we're definitely going to try changing the sensor first. So I'm going to jack the car up, get underneath to the sensor and swap it over. Sensor that we want to remove is held in by two torx T25 fasteners. If we just unplug the wiring harness first of all. If we remove the old sensor, it just pulls out. They are identical, however, strangely, this new one looks like it's maybe had a little coat of black paint applied to it, because on the inside edge it looks just as grotty as this one, and as you can see all the writing's kind of faded off, but this one it's perfect, but it's clearly not brand new. So I think someone's tried to make that look a little bit more appealing on the eBay advert than this one. The new sensor slides in the same way the old one came out, like so. Quite a tight fit. It's just because it's got the rubber sort of weather seal on there to stop any dirt or water getting in. So there was this being on the underside of the car, I'm sure it does get splashed, sure it gets dirty, but there's a rubber seal on the inside of the sensor. So let me just reinstall the screws. Those are nice and tight, so I'll just reinstall the wiring connector. There we go. Now then, moment of truth. I must say I'm not expecting the fault code to have gone and for it to work straight away. I think we'll probably need the diagnostics to erase the codes if the sensor is working, but we'll see. And steering assist failure, so it's not gone yet. Well, that's fine. I'm going to plug in the diagnostics and see if it's any further forward. Okay, so we're going to have another go with the diagnostics, see if we can clear the fault code this time for the steering angle sensor now that I've fitted the new one. This time I'm going to use Forscan to do this. Forscan is a specialist Ford diagnostic tool, but aimed at the enthusiasts rather than the garage. It's a freeware tool in that a lot of the functions are available in the free version. there are some things like programming modules and stuff that we may need to do if we replace the power steering pump that you need to pay for an extended license in order to use, but hopefully it'll be a case of just clearing the fault codes and we should be good to go. So then we're going to reset the code for the power steering. It's going to scan again. And unfortunately it's come back. So it's looking like we'll probably need to change the pump. As I feared, replacing the steering angle sensor didn't fix the problem, so we're going to have to replace the pump. I've already taken that dreaded headlight back out, and now I'm going to have to remove the under tray to get better access to the pump from underneath, because it doesn't look like it's going to be particularly easy to bring it out up top. If I turn the camera around, you should be able to see there's quite a lot in the way. So if we have a look down at the pump here, you've got air conditioning hoses in the way, so I don't think it's going to come up. It's held in by a couple of bolts there, one there, and one there as well by the looks of it. So this bracket is what holds it in place. The pipe connections are on the back, which makes it even harder to get to. Makes me think it'll definitely need to come down rather than come up. I've decided this isn't going to be a how-to video for the pump change because I've not got the right tools. So I'm going to be kind of bodging it with the tools that I've got available. And I definitely wouldn't want to show people to use like a normal open-ended spanner on a pipe union, or to, if you can hear the fluid draining, to let the power steer fluid drain out into a catch pan rather than emptying the reservoir first before you start, or any of the other various bits of bad practice I'm going to exercise here. If I'd been a bit better organised and had more tools, I could have tried to do a little bit of a kind of how-to, but I'm sure there are other videos on YouTube by much more skilled mechanics, or actual mechanics. So if you're looking to actually see how to replace the power steering pump, you should definitely check out one of those videos. Okay, the pump is on. That was a bit of a mission, and at the end of the video I'll talk a bit more about how to make the job easier, given this hasn't turned out to be a how-to video like I was hoping it was gonna. But it's time to fill up the system with CHF 11S fluid, and then it'll be the moment of truth. Just make sure it's not all leaking back out, of course. Looks to be fine for now. Okay, that's pretty full in there at the moment, but I'll see when we start it up, it'll look at that. Steering assist failure warning is gone. Just got to lock a few times to get the air out of the system. Make sure it's not leaking. Well, that was a bit of a mission, but now, when we start the car, no more power steering failure. Jobbed, I think. So what did we learn? Well, if you've got steering angle circuit failure on a Mark II Ford Focus, it's probably actually the pump. It seems that the circuit fails that actually controls the angle sensor or interprets the reading from it, and that's integrated into the pump. So to solve the problem, you need to replace the pump. It might be possible to test that circuitry, and maybe that's where I went wrong here. If it's a better idea would probably have been to analyse the signal coming from the pump and try to work out if that was right, or perhaps there was no signal, etc. And that might have meant that rather than buying both the sensor and the pump, I would only have bought the pump. What I will say is fitting the pump is about as difficult and messy as I expected it to be. I really did want to do a how-to video, but without the proper tools and with quite a lot of swearing, it wouldn't have made for particularly good or family-friendly YouTube viewing. Words of advice: before you start, make sure you have a flare spanner for removing the hard line to the power steering pump. It's an 18mm fixing, but it'd be much, much easier if you have a proper flare spanner rather than going at it with an open-ended spanner. You're much less likely to round the nut off. Now, thankfully, it was all very clean. It wasn't rusty. It wasn't stuck. It came off very, very easily. But with a proper spanner, it would be much faster because you can move the spanner back along the line to get it on again, to turn it again. Whereas with just an open-ended spanner, it takes much, much longer. Remove the under tray fully before you start. No, I did. And also remove the driver's side front wheel arch liner. I didn't do that. I only took a couple of screws out of it and pushed it back out of the way to get more access to the pump. But if I'd removed it, it would have made the job much easier. Also, the return line, the soft return line onto the pump, uses like a typical sort of radiator hose clip. It is much, much easier to remove those if you have a proper set of hose clip pliers. You get ones that have a sort of remote head where it's on a cable, and the handles that you're using to operate the pliers are actually quite far away from where the clip is. Buy a set of those if you're going to have to attempt this job. I didn't have a set, and it made it very, very difficult to get that hose on and off. It really isn't very accessible from above or below, and those sort of spring hose clamps that you more commonly find on a radiator are a complete pain if all you've got is a normal set of pliers, or like water pump pliers or something like that. You might get away with mole grips, but there really isn't that much access down there. I'd fully recommend you get the proper tool for the job. Apart from that, it really is just a case of old pump out, new pump in, reconnect the hoses, reconnect the electrical connectors, top it up with fluid, and away it goes. I didn't need to use the diagnostics. It just works. Some people say you need to code in the new pump. You don't, or I didn't. It just worked. Now, it was an exact match for the old part. It seems there are many, many different combinations of parts with very slightly different part numbers. If you search on eBay for Mark II Focus power steering pump, you'll see that they all look the same, but they have different part numbers. I made sure I got exactly the right part. Thankfully, it was cheaper than others on eBay too, so I got lucky there. I don't know what the difference is between them. They all look the same. They might be interchangeable, but you might find if you fit a slightly different part, you need the diagnostics to code in the new pump. Thankfully, I didn't have that. It just worked. Fired up straight away. Everything's good. There we go then. It's repaired. I now have a fully working, road legal Ford Focus for just over £200, and I should be able to press it in a daily service for my commute, at least for a little bit, before it moves on to its new home. Very, very happy with that, and I'm sure you'll be glad to see that it's going to live to fight another day. If you've enjoyed the video, please like, share and subscribe, and I'll see you next time when I have a bit of an update on how this thing's getting on. Hopefully no more faults have developed, and maybe some sneak peeks into what February's car is going to be. Thank you very much for watching.